What's up, guys? Going to briefly talk about the occult esoteric implications of the nakshatra of Ardra. So, what is Ardra? Ardra is one of the nakshatras, or lunar mansions, as some Westerners would call it, in the astrology system of the Vedics. And a very interesting thing that's not super talked about, I've noticed, is how Jyotish and astrology and a lot of Hinduism has severely influenced all Abrahamic ideologies, many modern spiritual practices. But before getting too deep into that, I was just kind of listing that as a prerequisite to what it is that I want to shed light on. So, Ardra Nakshatra is actually representative of the mark of Cain. So, what is the mark of Cain? In the Bible, there are two brothers who make an offering to God, and for some reason God accepts one gift but he rejects the other. As to why, I won't talk about that in this video. It's not enough for me to simplify into a short video like I intend this to be. But basically, he kills his brother out of anger or jealousy, or maybe he sees something that other people don't. And it's very interesting that Ardra represents the skull. It represents kind of like outcasts in society. And another really interesting thing about Ardra is that it also has to do with killers. And interestingly enough, it's the sign of Gemini, so, the twins. So, were they twin brothers? That's all specifics that don't matter right now. What I'm trying to say is the mark of Cain is actually a representation for the symbols of people that have Ardra Nakshatra. Depending on how much Ardra you have in your chart, this applies to you on different amounts of levels. For some people, it's a lot more prevalent. For some, it's just a small influence, especially if it's like a minor influence in your chart. So basically, the mark of Cain is kind of summarizing the fact that Cain is in a way like Shiva. So Shiva notices that Brahma is being very boastful and prideful about creating and his creation, and if you want to assign more specific context and meaning to that, there's a lot of seals that kind of prove and point that, well, reality is actually a simulation, and the simulation can be seen as kind of an obstacle course or even a prison, a trap, And I think that the point of the serpent of Eden crawling in, which, by the way, the Garden of Eden is represented by the nakshatra of Rohini. We'll get into that later. It's also a geographic area. It's India. But anyways, so the serpent in the Garden of Eden is actually Rahu. And Rahu is given direction of humanity by Shiva himself. So this is a complicated thing that's going on. What is actually going on, and what the implications of, Rahu and Shiva and Ardra all lead to, is that Cain was the first person to kind of see that, this is not what people think it is. It's something that we need to escape. And a lot of Ardra people have a lot of escapist tendencies. By escapist, I mean that they're not, always here in reality. Sometimes they don't agree with rules or social parameters. A lot of other times it means it's their imagination. In some cases, it's their emotions that, run away, and that's how they end up killing. The teardrop is another symbol for Ardra, and when you notice, if you go to jail, a lot of murderers get teardrops tattooed in their eye. So what I'm trying to say is there is necrosophic gnosis behind everything, and I think that when you have astrology or certain prerequisites to use as a base, you could bridge these things together to kind of draw a fuller picture. So what does this mean? So I'll give you another example. Sadabhishak Nakshatra, right, is called the encircler or the 100 healers, the 100 doctors, the 100 eyes, 100 watchers. So when you think about the number 100, it's kind of interesting because 110 and 1 are all, kind of their own. I don't know how to express that mathematically, but binary code is really just a combination of ones and zeros. And binary code is what computers use to construct realities, and you can argue that our reality is just a bunch of ones and zeros. So that's kind of funny because Sadabisha is the height and refinement of Ardra, and Ardra is the beginning stages of Rahu, and Rahu is illusion. So, holy shit, did people back in the day know about this already? Like Pluto, sages, such as, I won't get into that. There's too many people to name and list. So, just some thoughts when you are learning about the nakshatras. If you're already pre-exposed to a lot of occult, esoteric things, and even satanic ideals, even Jewish ideals, there's a way to bridge all of these things together. That's actually why Sadabishak is the circle. And the reason Rahu has control over humanity is a little more complicated than people realize, because Rahu is a commander, and commanders are needed for war. So, there's a spiritual war right now going on for your mind and spirit and energies and all that. So be super mindful about what you put your attention into, and how sometimes looking at somebody's chart, seeing Ardra might just seem like, oh, maybe they're emotional, maybe they cry a lot. No, not always. A lot of people with heavy Ardra energy tend to be sorcerers and magicians, alchemists, people that are good with poisons. And hopefully people start waking up to these truths and realities. Magic is much more prevalent in daily reality than people would like to realize. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you guys. And if you guys have any questions or would like me to present information in a more systematic way, am I talking too fast, please let me know in the comments. And of course, if you would like an astrological consultation to find what kind of occult powers you have or how you could further exploit that and refine it to suit your needs, please contact me or Shivani, and we will definitely be very happy to help you with that. Anyways, thank you. Have a good day.